Okay, let's stand up again. I want you to hug the person next to you and tell them they're a winner. Let's go. Woo! Okay, it's not a love-in, it's not a love-in. Do you feel like a winner now? Woo! You guys are great. You got some energy back? Pumped? Ready to go? I'll get the next speaker then. I'll do. Waiting for everybody to come in, sitting down. Okay, so this afternoon I'm going to share with you some amazing tools that allow you to let go of the, I think it's in the bottom of a bird's nest. It starts with SH and it ends with IT. Shell grit. I know what you were thinking about. So we're going to let go of that. Would that be cool? Okay, and if we've got time, I'm not going to promise, but if we've got time, I may even do a group release. How cool would that be? Who'd like to release them right now? Woo! Okay, well, it's not that pumpy, but it may be good. They'll have to bring the cleaners in afterwards. Maybe the vacuum cleaners. Okay, and then what I'd like to do is I'd like to share with you some of the tools that we're going to actually bring to London, and right next week we're in Brussels, and we'd love some carloads, busloads, whatever to come across and share these tools with us. We're going to share them with you to allow you in a 2-day intensive course to just let go and be that beautiful person that you, as Jennifer was talking about, that you already are. Because that's what we believe. Who's beautiful? Who's beautiful out there? Woo! Who's a winner? All right. I want to share with you a little story. Last year, on May 12, I flew into China. On that day was the day of the earthquake. And I just knew the day I arrived that for whatever reason, I was meant to be here. That's pretty powerful, isn't it? But I got an instinct, a gut feeling, that I was meant to be in this country on this day, and that I could make a difference. What an idiot, I don't even speak Chinese. However, I just had this gut feeling, and so I was in the country to teach NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, and I had a myriad of people in the room from all over the world. I had Chinese, I had Australian, I had German, I had American, I had Colombian, I had a myriad of people, France, a guy from France, and they were all in this room learning NLP. And I had been going home every night. I could see on the bottom of the screen in English that they needed coaches, some people to go up there and help these people get through this catastrophic grief they were now going through. And I went, that's it, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be that person that takes a team of people up into the earthquake zone, and I'm going to make a difference. So I came into the classroom the next day and I said, I've decided to go up into the earthquake zone and I'm going to make a difference, and I'm going to take the coaching tools that I'm teaching you right here and right now. We're going to take them up into the earthquake zone and I'm going to share those with people so they can assist them, because I know that if you don't get rid of the stress, if you don't get rid of the grief from your body, that the cortisol steroids build up in your body and it can lead to a mammoth of other illnesses. Is that right? Why do I know that? Because I got lupus, a disease of the immune system. And I cured myself. Yeah? Because, you know, the other option was to die, and there's no future in that. Anyone know a future in dying? So I decided that I would make a decision and get well. So I knew I could assist these people, because that country could actually go broke through that earthquake. Because when you've got cortical steroids happening in a whole bundle, like 10 million people were displaced. And all of those people are going to have mammoth after mammoth health problems after that if we don't help them get through this. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I can see it happening in other countries as well. And I decided I was absolutely going to make a difference in this particular country. So I approached the group and I said, this is what I'm going to do. And a lady over here, she stood up and she said, that's really stupid. I said, thanks for sharing. She said, you don't even speak Chinese. I said, isn't that interesting? I said, you've already worked out why I can't do something. The funny part about it is, I haven't worked that out. Me not speaking Chinese was not a circumstance that I created that would stop me going and working with Chinese people. Does that make sense? Now, she had a very good point. I don't speak, I know I can say ni hao. I think that's hello, because a lot of people say it. And then when the phone rings, they go, wei. And to me, that's something on milk, but that's hello to them or yes. So I know some words in Chinese. Does that make sense? Yeah, so now I'm ready. I'm ready to go up there. I've got all these words. And she was adamant that I couldn't do it. How many of us set up a circumstance straight away that we can't do something? But it's like we're looking for opportunities of why we can't do something. Have you done that? Yeah. And then I said, well, that's interesting because I'm actually going to go. Is anyone else interested in the room? And one lady on the other side of the room said, I'd like to go with you. And I said, I was hoping you'd say you could, because she was a Chinese Australian. And I said, I got a really good idea that you might know a little bit more about the language than I do. So we formed an amazing friendship. And together we decided that we were going to make a difference and we were going to go up into this earthquake zone. However, it was absolutely almost impossible to get there. They had put all these things in place as to the few people that could go up there and assist. And they had, you had to be a registered volunteer, you had to have a psychology degree. I don't have a psychology degree, I've done years and years of psychology, but I decided that I wanted to study neuro-linguistic programming because that studies mental excellence, whereas to me, psychology was studying mental illness. So I switched, and I started learning mental excellence, and I wanted to know because I think everybody's beautiful, and I just need to allow them to know that and to assist them to prove that they are. And so to show the Chinese government or the army, which it was now, that I didn't actually have a degree in psychology, I said, let's just pretend. What are they going to do? Ask me for my papers? Like right now? So I said, just write down psychology. And then, so off we went, and I said, look, we know the Chamber of Commerce here. Why don't we go and get help from the Chamber of Commerce? They'll help us get up there. No, they said they wouldn't. I do. And then I said, okay, what about? And everything we said about, it was like we found a roadblock. There were so many reasons why we shouldn't have gone. I had finished my training in that particular week, and I couldn't let this thing grow. It was like a baby inside of me. Have you ever had a feeling that you had to go and do something and you just can't drop it? And even like your partner might be saying, oh, that's really dumb, you know, you shouldn't do that, or your parents are not, you haven't got any following, but there's something inside of you that's saying you have to go and do it. Yeah? It's like when you actually have a baby, you've really got to go and do it, don't you? You know, when the time's up, the time's up. So somebody should have told my son that, you know, because I had a 4-day birth. It was like, you talk about procrastination? I think I'll come out now. Oh, hang on a sec. I just need a bit more sleep. Yeah, okay, I think I'm coming now. No, I'm not ready yet. So on this particular time, I went back to Australia, and this girl and I kept working. And we were working toward making this happen. And then I remembered that I'd written a book called Good Grief. And it was to help me get through 6 people dying in 6 months. And my little dog was one of those people that died. Yeah, have you got a dog that's a person? She was my daughter. I took her to TAFE College with me when I taught. I took her everywhere. And everyone loved my little girl. And so my mother died, my best friend died, Mickey. You know, he wanted me to marry him, and he kept ringing up and seeing if I was happy, and I'd say, yeah. He said, oh, bugger. And we were just the best of friends, you know. We were lovers without getting married. It was just the most gorgeous relationship. And he's not with us anymore. I had so many good friends. I had a guy that was in property development with me, and he passed away with cancer. I had another guy that was in multi-level marketing with me. He decided he wasn't needed anymore, and he did some silly stuff, and he's now no longer with us. And there were so many people that left. And I remember walking up one day and saying, well, why is there so many people leaving? I got to the point where I didn't want to go out with guys because a lot of my friends were carking it. I'm serious, like a doctor friend. We were going to build a wellness centre together and he got killed by a car. Like everything was happening and I'm thinking, whoa, this is like too much. How do I get through this? And this message came down that your dog is actually on your mum's lap. And all of a sudden it was like, don't fret for me, Argentina. I had a great life. And that was my dog talking through me and I went, wow, my shoulders became so light. I walked all the way home and I'm crying and laughing at the same time. That's interesting, isn't it? And I'm sitting in front of the computer. I was about to start an NLP course that afternoon at 1 o'clock. I sat down and I wrote that book. I started at 9, I finished at 12:30. I've never changed it. I paid 10 grand to have it altered, like put pictures on it and all that sort of stuff, but I never changed that book. It was exactly written through me from my dog. Very clear. Don't fret for me. Think about the wonderful time we had together when I was on the planet, and you'll be able to get through this. And all I could think about then was I thought about the people that I'd been with. I thought about my dog and the wonderful life that I had with her, and how when she was even this high to a grasshopper, smaller than the soccer ball. I used to coach soccer for 10 years, and just because I had nothing to do. And the ball would hit the dog and it would roll over the dog and she would like collapse because the ball was bigger than her. And I just had the most amazing life and all these beautiful people, and I thought this book will be so helpful for those people in China. And so my friend said, I'll translate the book. And I went back to Australia and the graphic designer said, because you're going to do it for free, I'll give you all the graphics for free. And her boyfriend then goes, okay, he said, I know how to do all this on the computer, so you send everything to me and I'll recreate the book here in China. And we can get it printed very cheaply here. Of course you can. So I said, well, you know what? I've already spent 10 grand on the booklet. It's going to cost me 10 grand to fly over there the numerous times I need to come. So this booklet now has to be paid for by the public. That's our stipulation. Does that make sense? Has to be paid for by the public. There has to be someone helping us take that booklet up into the earthquake zone. Well, the 2 weeks went by. We worked till 2 o'clock in the morning. We just worked and worked and worked on how we could make this happen. One volunteer came through. All of a sudden, this lady said, well, I've got a meeting in Chengdu, which is the earthquake zone, and it was 2 weeks later, and I said, okay, I'll fly right over and I'll be there. She said, you will? I said, it's our project. Of course I will. And I said, make sure the books get back to where you are. And she said, how are we going to pay for it? I said, we don't have to know how. You see, you never have to know how. That's not your job. You just have to know what. What is it you want to do? And then the universe brings everything to you to make it happen. How cool is that? But that takes a lot of belief from you, does it not? Yeah. So I knew that principle. And I knew what I wanted. I knew the end product. And I didn't need to know how it was going to happen. So then her boyfriend puts money on the table and he said, I'm going to be the first one to contribute to this booklet being printed. I said, what a great idea. I'll run a workshop tomorrow morning on people changing values, and all the money from that workshop will go into that booklet. And my friend said, oh, I'm at the Public Speaking Association tomorrow night. I'll let them know what we're doing and they can contribute to the booklet. And then her boyfriend goes, wow, I'm running a thing for the triathlete club. I only run it once a year. It's tomorrow night. After you finish with your public speaking, why don't you come to the triathlete club, tell the people what you're doing, and let's see if they want to contribute. So in the course of how many hours? Less than 24 hours. We had all the money except 2,000 RMB, which is about £2. No. Anyway, it was, who cares? So we had, this 2,000 RMB was all we needed. And I said, doesn't matter if we haven't got all the money, the printer will wait. So we're off to the airport. We've got books and we can't pick the bags up. Yeah? We undid all the packages of the books, we packed them into bags, and we took whatever we could physically carry or lift or drag along the airport floor, and we were just about to put them onto the weighing scales, and the lady that stood up and told us that we were crazy to go because I have no concept, she was at the airport. She said, I've decided to come with you. And she said, here's my contribution. Guess what was in the envelope? 2,000 RMB. I said to my friend Hong, I said, ring the printer, we've got the money. And tell him we'll pay him in cash as soon as we get back. So I said, oh, and you know what else is good? We've got 3 people now to carry the books. So we put the books onto the scale and the guy goes, oh, I'm really sorry, it's just far too much weight. I said, you must have your foot on it. There just can't be that much weight in those boxes. You must have. Then we told him the story, you know. And we're going to take these books and they're going to go up to the... Oh, for God's sake, he said, get on the plane. So all those books and what we didn't take with him, we helped each other, and a lot of other people on the plane helped us put them up top. We physically couldn't carry it. So we're on the plane and we're flying to Chengdu. And I kept talking to the girls and I said, stay with the faith. What did I say? Because if you have 1 ounce of fear, you've lost your faith. Okay? Fear and faith are incompatible mates. So stay with the faith. And that's what I said all the way through, because she was going, oh, I don't know how this is going to work. And I said, you don't need to know how. You just need to know that it is. We get to Chengdu and we go and check into it, and you can feel the somberness around this town. And I said to them, okay, we've only got 1 volunteer. We're going to have 5 volunteers in the next 24 hours. Okay, we're going to leave tomorrow morning at 9:30 in a car with a driver. She said, how do you know that? I said, I don't know, I just know. She said, well, we haven't got a car and a driver. And I said, it'll come. It's just not there yet. And she said, this is amazing. And I said, and all of a sudden the phone rang, and she said, hello. She said, we heard about you guys coming in, and it was TNT, the company. And they wanted us to go and train their staff. And I said, only if you contribute to the book. Train the staff on stress management, because so many of their relatives have died that they now can't work. And so the whole company was, starting to fail because the workers were working at a very low pace. And so we ended up going in there and training the staff. And then while I was doing that, these 2 decided that they'd go elsewhere in the town and look for more volunteers. And one of them read an article. Of course they're going to read an article. The universe left it right there for them at the breakfast table. And it was an article on the bookworm, and they went to the bookworm and they found a most amazing volunteer that was doing all this work up in the earthquake zone. And she really wanted to know about what we were doing. And it became the most phenomenal contact for us. That afternoon, the only one other volunteer that we had came, and we told her our story, and she said, I'll do my best to get you a driver and a car. And I said, of course you will. At 9 o'clock the next morning, because I said to the girls, you have to be ready by 9:30. This car and driver are going to be here. They said, you're crazy. There's no evidence of a car or driver, so it doesn't have to be. At 9 o'clock, the call came in. There's no word of a lie. We've got a car and a driver, and they'll be there at 9:30 in the morning. They just looked at me. I said, the difference between your reaction and mine is that I was expecting it. Now, that's a very important point for you. I was expecting it. What were you expecting? You see, I expected to get over lupus. And I did. If you decide, believe and act what you want, but you're not expecting it, it ain't going to come. Expectation brings everything to you. Against all odds, you expect something. So I expected it. We hopped in this car with this driver and off we go to the earthquake zone. He told us the most amazing stories. He told us how he hadn't slept for the last 12 nights, which was really good for us to hear. Because there was so many aftershakes that everything shook. He said he thought that one of the statues was waving at him. He did. Because the hand was going as the aftershocks came. And he said in the end, and as we were driving up, he showed us all the people in their tents. You see, people had walked out of their houses, the ones that were left, and put tents on the side of the road because that was the most stable part of the ground. And we had to maneuver our way up in between tents. And I'm not talking 1 or 2, am I? You know the population in China. So up in this area, we came to that beautiful, like you had yesterday, we walked through this most beautiful park outside Buckingham Palace. And I just imagined that in China, full of tents, row upon row upon row, because that's what I saw. And imagine all down the sidelines of all those streets, all the way back to Earl's Court, were tents. Because that's what it was like. That was exactly what we saw. That's all those people had. And then we got there and we line up and we're waiting to go in, and the guy said, you can't go in just yet into this school that you want to visit to take those books because they're at lunch. They're what? They're eating at a time like this. So we decided we'll go and have lunch. And we found this hotel that was half dilapidated. And there were great big cracks coming down the walls, and we're thinking, are we going to survive just walking through here? This guy was amazing. He didn't believe that that earthquake was going to stop him. He put a tent up out the back of the hotel and he set up shop. His cooks just continued. The place was packed with people wanting to have lunch there, including us. What an amazing, intelligent guy, a guy that didn't believe in the face of adversity. He created something for everyone that came to the town. Finally, it was time to go to the school. But before we went to the school, we had to get through the army. So we're in the car and we're driving to where we have to go to the checkpoint, Charlie. Okay? And on our right is thousands and thousands of tents. And there's a guy in uniform with a gun in his hand. And there's this little girl about this high, and I'll never forget it because she reminded me of me. And she was making fun at the soldier. That would have so been me. Because I didn't understand the seriousness of what they did, you know? And she was making him laugh and doing this and, you know, and turning her head like that. And if he did this, she'd do that. And it was just absolute modelling of this guy. And I'm cracking up in the car, whereas my friend's getting really serious because she understands what soldiers mean in China. She's Chinese. Yeah? But for me, it was hilarious watching this little girl model this soldier, and she ended up cracking him up. It was beautiful to watch. And in the end, we've got this army guy on the base of our car, flipping through the book. Flipping through this book, page after page. And he's looking at us and then looking at this book. And my friend now, she's nearly going to have to go and change her grundies, you know? And I said, stay with the faith. I had nothing inside of me said we weren't going to go. Nothing. We're going to go. We're going to do this. And he's flicking through the book and flicking through the book. Every decision was now his. Does that make sense? How many times have you been in a situation where you either stepped forward into growth or back into safety and you came back to comfort zone? Who's done that? Who's come back to comfort zone? Because you can rationalize as to why you didn't move forward. You can rationalize to the universe. We didn't need that car. We're comfortable enough in that house. There's other people out there who can do it better than me. Well, I want to show you a system today that can take those roadblocks that you've set up and show you how to move through them so quickly you wonder why you ever let a roadblock stop you before. We want to learn how to put them together, though. So why would you want to learn from me? Well, yeah, I was one of 58 people filmed for The Secret. Am I on the first one? No. Am I going to be on subsequent ones? Absolutely. Because I cured myself of lupus. I lived the material. I grabbed the material and I took it and I live it. I did lecture with John DiMartini, Alan Pease. I did write a book with Harrison Klein called The Law of Expectation, and Then You Receive. And then I wrote the little Good Grief book, and this is what it looks like when it's translated. Isn't that cute? It's just really cute. And yes, I did win a Young Outstanding Australian Award. That was just because I did a few things. So then, what I want to share with you is in the next 90 minutes, I'm going to show you the number one system, and I absolutely believe this, that's going to assist you to clear your roadblocks. Who knows that they've got a roadblock? Who knows that they've got a limiting belief or decision that they've picked up somewhere along the line and they turned it into an excuse or a circumstance as to why they can't be that beautiful person that they already are? They just don't know it yet. But I absolutely believe that you deserve to be, do, and have more. And you deserve it when? Now. When's the time? Now. Okay, you guys are good. So let's have a look at the areas in our life that we might like to address. The first one could be wealth. Could it not? At a wealth convention, do you think we want to address that? Yeah? The next one could be career or health and fitness. It could be these are the goal areas in your life that you tend to have values around. Now, if you were to look at those areas and give each of those areas a number out of 10, what would you give them out of 10? Now, I don't want you to take any time on this, because if you take time on it, that means you're doing it consciously. And consciously means you can argue with it. Whereas if you do it subconscious, it's very quick, very quick, very quick, very quick, very quick. Number out of 10 on relationships. What is it? Write it down. Number out of family and children. What's happening for you right now around family and children? Out of 10, 10 being your highest, that you really love to see happening with your family and children. What is it out of 10? And what about career? Where are you in relationship to your career, in really living your passion and waking up every morning and you can't wait to get started? Yeah? How many out of 10 do you give that? Or are you still doing something else because you're not quite ready to move? And where are you with your wealth? Is that dollar, are you just chasing the dollar? It's nearly there, and you're just about to catch it, Or is it pouring in? Yeah, and you're just working out how you can plan it. What about your health and fitness? How many of you get up every morning and walk every day, or run every day, or go to the gym, or go to the pool, or do something around you being more? Yeah, great. My dogs take me for a walk every day. I think it's supposed to be the other way around, but they're getting so fit that they take me for a walk. What about your personal growth and spirituality? So today you can give yourself a 10 out of 10 for being here. But is it that you just come to something like today and then you take in all that information and you go home and you just put it aside? Or do you really use it? Do you really say, no, I'm going to make a decision this weekend that I want to be, do, and have more because I deserve it. So I'm going to take one of these programs and I'm going to run with it. And I'm going to have one of these mentors absolutely work with me throughout the year to make it happen. Who's made a decision that that's going to be what happens to them this weekend? Absolutely. Good on you. So what I want you to do, I'll show you how this works. I'm going to give you 1 minute. That's all. I want you to turn to the person next to you. Can you do that? Don't say a word. Just turn to the person next to you. You can actually face them if you like. Okay, no talking. Okay, I want you to ask them one question and they have 60 seconds to answer because it's got to be subconscious. Okay, I'm going to look at the subject of wealth. Now, the one question is, what is important to you around wealth? That's your question to your next door neighbour. Off you go. Okay. When I was a student at the University of Oregon, I couldn't afford a horn on my bike, so I created one. So I just thought I'd use it. I just remembered that. Subconscious mind's being really good to me. How many of you came up with at least 10? 10 answers. Did your friend give you at least 10 answers? Okay, because what's important to you about wealth are your values around wealth. They're your values. Did anyone get a surprise in some of their answers? That's what you value. That's your core value around wealth. So whether you have it or not will be part of the core values. They drive your behavior. It's so important. So that's why this question's very important. What is important to you around wealth is a very important question. So now it's your turn to have that question asked to you. So face to face again. The person asking is the opposite to the one before. Face each other. Okay, the other person asks, what's important to you around wealth? Off you go. Okay, stop. Okay, good. Can you see the importance of doing this quickly? Because the subconscious mind knows everything. It knows how to beat your heart. You trust it to beat your heart. You trust it to take the garbage away from the cells and to put nutrients back in. So then you must trust it for the right answer. When you get an answer and then you start arguing with the answer, that's the conscious mind overriding the subconscious mind. It's like raping the subconscious. We need to think about that. You see, there's no mind over matter. I just went up and took some vitamins and now I'm rattling. That's cool. There's no mind over matter. The conscious mind needs to be in love with the subconscious mind. You need to be working together to get pure harmony happening through your body. Not one overriding the other, where you make a decision and the conscious mind goes, gotta. Yeah? So that's why it's important to have these answers really quickly. These are very important because these are driven by your values. I was overseas teaching the law of attraction in Holland. I'm already nearly there. And overseas. For me in Australia, it's very overseas. So I went there and I'm doing all this law of attraction stuff and I got a phone call saying my son was ill. And I went, my son? Ill? He's never ill. And they said, yeah, he's got pneumonia. And I said, that's interesting. I doubt it, but anyway, he's got pneumonia. And I thought that I'd sort of got over having all that value around being really high with family because I'm the career person, you know. I'm out teaching now. However, my core value around family was so high that I said to the organiser, book me a plane, I'm going home. What? I said, book me a plane. My son's ill, I'm going home. Of course he wasn't sick, but it was a real good excuse to get out of Holland. No. I loved it, actually. I loved it. It was actually the most beautiful. When I looked out of the plane, I was gobsmacked. Absolutely gorgeous. But we had done everything we needed to do in Holland, and this guy needed to stay for an extra 4 days. I found out why. His girlfriend lived there. So, and it was just interesting that I got the call. What I'm sharing with you is that my values around family were still to the point where I was able to catch a plane and head straight home because my values around family were high. Does that make sense? So would you drop everything if you were working, didn't matter what work it was, if something happened with your family? Because if you would, then your values around family are high. Or are your values around wealth higher? Or are your values around career higher? Interesting question, isn't it? What are we prepared to do and what are we prepared to drop in order to continue with what we were prepared to do? My son didn't have pneumonia. He'd been working at a Boost juice place. Did they have them over here? Where you delve into the I don't know what it is. Anyway, yogurt type stuff. And you put it into a milkshake container and you whiz it up with all this juice. And he'd torn some muscles in his ribs. And he told the doctor that, but the doctor was convinced he had pneumonia. And so I said, why don't you go and lie in my bed and just have a whole night where you sleep? It was probably more than he needed. And he takes after his mother. And then, you know, you'll be well. And that's exactly what happened. However, for me, the biggest lesson was where my values stood. Does that make sense here? So, you know, it doesn't matter whether it's low or high. What it matters is to you. What is your value in that particular area now out of 10? And if it's something that you're not happy with, what are you prepared to do to change that? And they will change in each area. So your wealth is within you. And it's all linked to what you're expecting, as I said right at the beginning. What are you expecting? Are you expecting little bits or are you expecting a lot? Are you expecting to have that dollar? Can you catch it? Can you see it? Is it just in front of you and every time somebody says you really should stop doing it? No, I'm so close. I'm so close. Who's felt like that? They're so close to getting the dollar. It's just not here yet. Or the quid. Sorry, the pound. My dad's English. Can you believe that? I'm half a Pom. I've just found out 2 days ago that he never became an Australian citizen. So I'm half English. He hops on a boat, you know, when he was knee-high to a grasshopper, he hopped on a boat. He put his age down to get into the Navy. He's in the Navy, and for whatever reason they were in the Australian area, and he found out that they were paying the Australian Navy guys more. So he said, I'll come and work for you. So he's still in the Navy. Then he meets my mum, and they're supposed to send him back here, but nobody knew how to do that because there was just a few English guys working with the Australian Navy guys, and they didn't know how to send him back home. So then he met my mum, and the rest is history. And then I think he was still on army time because we're all 15 months apart. And there's 7 of us. So they had 7 little Australians. Or is money pouring in? What is your wealth within? You see, is wealth just money? No, isn't it that beautiful feeling you have inside of you about, you know, the wealth, the health that you have, the relationships you have with people, the vibration that you send out and attract people to? Yeah, absolutely. So why is it that we have these roadblocks set up? But because you were given everything. Your roadblocks were set up by other people. You have 15,000 million neurons, the big fat white things there, and in between each of those neurons you have 10,000 possible connections called dendrites. 10,000. So who set up your road? Because I tell you what, for the first 7 years, you didn't have a consciousness. It was just subconscious, which means you didn't have the ability to think or say, but why? Or if you said, but why, you were still being a sponge and taking everything in. So we need to understand, where does your mindset come from around wealth? And who's not happy around their mindset around wealth and wants to set a whole new path? Who wants to set a whole new pathway today, a whole new road? Okay, great. Then you're in the right group. So let's see how it all happens. For the first 5 years, everyone gave you their stuff. It was like Russian roulette, wasn't it? You got mum stuff and dad stuff and grandpa stuff and granny stuff and everyone's stuff. And it just all came in and you didn't have a choice because you didn't have the ability to say why. It just all came in. You know that story about the roast, do you not? Where grandma's, this guy goes to have a roast with his new wife, and he says, oh my gosh, you've cut off the ends. How did you cut off the ends? Why would you do that? And she said, my mum used to do that. And he said, look, I'm intrigued. I need to ring your mum and find out why on earth you would cut off the ends off the roast, because that's the best bit. And so he rings mum and says, I'm just intrigued on why you would cut the ends off the roast. And she said, oh, my mum did that. He said, look, I've got to get to the bottom of this. He said, do you mind if I ring Granny and find out why? So he rings Granny and he said, look, I'm just really intrigued. I'm round here having a roast, and I've heard that you taught your daughter how to cut the ends off the roast, and she's taught my wife, and I'm just intrigued as to why you do that, because I believe that's the best part of the meat. She said, they're not bloody still doing that, are they? She said, my husband brought home a really big roast one day, and we had to cut the ends off to put it in the tray. You see, we're full of habits, are we not? Sometimes we just don't question whether we cut the ends off the roast or not. We just did it because somebody else did it. Is that true? It's absolutely true. The width of the wheels for the rocket ships that go to the moon today are no different than the widths of the wheels for the Roman chariots 400,000 years ago, or wherever they were around. So the habits that we have are also with our governments as well as with us. We've got lots of stuff. When I have coaching clients, especially the coaching clients that were born and then adopted out, they've got 4 lots of stuff before they even start on all the different grandparents. Yeah? And sometimes all the people want to come out and talk to me. It's really interesting. It's really cool. I just want you to understand how powerful this part was, though. So as a baby, you're given so much. And how important would it be to go and teach the new mums this information on the first 5 years of your child? How many have got little ones? I really hope you take some knowledge in this, and it would be great for you to go home with different language around your children. When you say you can't do that and you can't do that and you don't do this and don't do that, it'd be better to give them really good advice. When they ask you why, answer them. How many of you have somebody has said to you, you can't do that, or we can't afford it? Who's had that said to them, or they've said it? We can't afford it. Come on, be truthful. That stops so many dreams. When you tell your kids you can't afford it, then they get to the point where they don't dream. And then they come to me, and I have to coach them years down the track because I don't even know how to set a goal. Because we said, we can't afford that so many times that they stopped setting dreams because you told them they couldn't afford it. Or you were told, we can't afford that. So don't you stop asking? So then when you're an adult and you've got to set goals for the future, you've lost the habit of setting goals or thinking outside the square because you've still got the blinkers on. I'm in a room of a group this size. I taught 130 people. I had an event afterwards, and it was like, get up close and personal with me, and let's find out what's happened in the last month. And 230 people turned up, and I thought, how did that work? But anyway, it was there, and I said, who's taken some advice from the last month and made it work? And this lady stood up here, and she said, oh, my daughter wanted to play saxophone. And I said, and? And she said, I told her we can't afford that. And she said, all of a sudden I'm going, Lynda Dyer's going to kill me. And I said, I'm in Sydney. How can I kill you? You're in Melbourne. She said, no, it was just your words. She said, I went back into the room and I said to my daughter, I'm really sorry about what I said. She said, what is it about the saxophone you want? And she said, Mum, I know how to pay for the saxophone. You just won't hear me. She said, you hate washing the car, don't you? She said, yep. She said, would you give me $8 every week to wash the car? She said, absolutely. She said, well, don't you think 3 other neighbours would do the same? I've already got the money for the saxophone. I've just got to go out and create the business. And the mother said, wow, that's amazing. She said, Mum, there's just $20 more a month that I've got to find to pay for the actual saxophone. I've only got enough money now to pay for the lessons. Now, this is no word of a lie. You talk about how quick the universe acts. A lady on this side of the room stood up and she said, can I be a part of this conversation? I said, only if you're going to help. And she said, I'm a grandmother and I bought a saxophone because I wanted my grandchildren to play saxophone. She said, I just forgot to ask them if they wanted to. And she said, they didn't. So I've got a saxophone. I'm going to give it to your daughter. You see how quick it comes in? That was a true story. Because somebody said we can't afford it, and one lady made a change to say she's not going to do that anymore. Kids know how to do things. We're so busy telling them why they can't. Wouldn't it be better to say, how can we sit down together and make that happen? Wouldn't that be gorgeous? They already know. Kids can have everything. They really can. When you sit down and make a plan on how they and you can make it happen. It's great to do that around Christmas time, which is coming up. What do they want, and how do you think we can work together to make that happen? Rather than we can't afford that. So when I started to learn this, I learned that through Professor Snyder at Sydney University, he actually says that if you look at this conscious and subconscious mind, we're given the impression that they're about 50-50. And then I go into NLP, and NLP says that it's 10% consciousness and around 90% subconscious. But Professor Snyder from Sydney University, he says no. He said, I believe that the consciousness is 4% and that 96% of us is subconscious. Now, as Jennifer was saying this morning, that means the consciousness is your torch. It's your light. And it shines down into the subconscious mind. So if all you've got is roadblocks in there, then that's all it's got to shine on. What I want to do is create an opportunity for you where we let go of those roadblocks. And now we've got this beautiful big space inside our subconscious mind. And then I want to show you how to set a goal deep into the subconscious and actually get goosebumps because now you're emotionally involved with it. You see, when you set a goal from the consciousness, it's just a written goal, is it not? And all you've got is your willpower to go and get it. If you haven't actually put it into the subconscious mind and got down and dirty and felt it, and where it's scary and exciting at the same time, it ain't going to happen. Because what's in your subconscious? All the S-H-I-T, shell grit. Yeah? All the reasons and roadblocks and beautiful stuff as well, but there's a lot of stuff in there that you no longer want. So if we can help you remove the stuff that you no longer want, And then you've got a space. You see, the universe can't give you any more until you create a space. You can't put anything else where that chair is until you remove the chair. Think about that. The same happens up here in the subconscious mind. Until you're prepared to remove whatever it is that's no longer serving you, you can't put anything else there. How cool would that be to find a tool that easily in 15 minutes allows you to do that? Things that you've been carrying around all your life allows you to easily let it go and then create a space for this beautiful big goal to come in. And now when the torch focuses on that goal, my Lord, you've got your desire, which is an emotion, and you've got your willpower heading in the same direction. Like, look out, world. When those two act at the same time, it is powerful. Does that make sense? If you've only got your conscious mind writing goals on paper and it's heading that way in with willpower, the subconscious mind, and you haven't cleared the desire, they haven't cleared all the yuck, the desire is going that way. Who's had that feeling before? I really want to do that. They told me I could go for it. I don't think I can, I don't think I can. Who's felt like that? I want to do it. No, you can't. I want to. No. Have you felt like that? Yeah? I think we all have. So if you can imagine your conscious mind being a torch and shining down now on your goal, like I did in China, it just shone down on what I could do. And I laughed when people told me I couldn't because it was funny that they created all my circumstances. And I wasn't going to have a part of it. So let's have a look at your programming. From 0 to 7, you're imprinted. So how many beautiful ideas did you get when you were 0 to 7? Who was told they could be a millionaire between 0 and 7? One hand went up. Woo! Who was told that money doesn't grow on trees? Oh, is that where my dad got it from? Who was told that from abundance, you can take abundance and still abundance remains? Or who was told to be satisfied with what you've got? Yeah? So what sort of values do we have around money? You know that film Oliver? Yeah, where he says, please, sir, can I have some more? How many of you ever felt like asking for more, but you were too scared because the last time you did, you were reprimanded? Yeah? What do you think? We grow on trees? Yeah? My dad worked 7 days a week to bring up 7 kids. So I always thought that's what you had to do, work hard. Because my dad's here from Leamington Spa, Warwickshire. And you know why I know? Because I dressed up as a man one day to come to England to find his family. Why would you do that? Because I couldn't afford to dress up as a woman? No. Because there was a guy at the University of Oregon that had a ticket to England and I didn't have any money. And I'd made up my mind, I'm going to England to find my dad's family. And this guy appeared, as he would. He appeared right in front of me and he said, John. I said, hi, how you going? He said, great. He said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to England to find my dad's family. He said, then you'd need this ticket that I've got. I said, what ticket's that? He said, I bought a return ticket to England and I'm not going back for a while. And it's going to expire if I don't use it. I said, you must be looking for a job then. I said, because I'm just about to tell the people I'm working with that I'm not staying here any longer, I'm going home. I said, why don't I trade? I'll take your ticket, you give me your job. And so I gave him my job, he gave me his ticket, so I dressed up as John. I was scared shitless. Can you imagine remembering when you had to be you and when you had to be John? Can you imagine putting your passport down 22 times and your ticket down the same amount of times but never together? Can you imagine being on the plane and all of a sudden it starts to take off? And so do you. Yeah, because you finally did it. Then you get to England and nothing can bother you until somebody makes you go through the declared section. Bugger. Yeah? And the guy finally puts down the ticket and the passport at the same time. And he's looking at it like this. And I can't stand it any longer. You know, it seemed like 4 hours had gone by and I'm very patient. I'm working out all the stories in my head about what I'm going to say. And I went, look, I'm here to find my dad. I wanted to say, I'm here to find my dad's family. And I just said, look. And he said, go through, madam. And I can tell you that I walked out through there and I sat on my suitcase and I think the airport closed and I was still there. I thought, what can he do? All they can do is send me home and I'll pay it off. Gosh, talk about model someone's behaviour. So who did you model? Did you model Superwoman when you were young? Who did we model? Who was on the TV or who was on the radio or who was in a book that you modelled? Did they win? Were they winners? Or did you model mum? Did you model dad? Did you model an auntie or an uncle? Who did you model? Because they became a very important part of your value structure. I remember reading books about women that were just so powerful because none of us women in our family have a middle name. It came up recently. We're doing my dad's will. My dad decided to move in 2 weeks ago. Like, hello? And so we're doing, the whole will bit. And the solicitor said, so where's your middle name, Lynda? And I said, oh, Dad didn't give any of the girls a middle name. He said, Vic. Chelsea Vic. Why didn't you do that? All the boys have got middle names. He wanted all the boys to do the will, but the boys wanted me to be on their power of attorney. Isn't that interesting? It's just interesting because it's just, who did we model? I thought my dad was an amazing man. He still is. He's 86 and going strong. Stopped doing the chin-ups though, which thank heavens for that. And from 14 to 21, we start to socialise. So who do we socialise with? Who found that the most awkward time in their life? I did. I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, because I was so into health. I was playing so much tennis it made your head spin. And I was eating good food and I thought all that was boring. So when I went out with people, I was an outcast. Who else felt like that? Just awkward when they were socialising. Yeah. And how come people can go and drink alcohol? And how come people can come home at 1 o'clock in the morning and you might have to be home at 11? Or how come they can stay out or not? Or how come some of the girls had sex really early and you're thinking, geez, that's a bit early for all that stuff. And, they could get pregnant or not. Or, is that something I want to do? Or, yeah. And you're tossing and you can hear your dad or mum's, if you girls get pregnant or if you want to leave home, my dad said, I'll help you pack your bag. No challenge in that. If there isn't a challenge, I'm not in it, right? So I never left home. So the socialisation process is really important. Now, William James comes along and he says that all the values that you created from those first 4 programming areas or 3 programming areas, you're now going to put them in your business. So your career or business cannot outperform your self-image. It's impossible. Your career or your business, whatever you create, is a you. That's all it can be. So who do you have to work on to feel really good about your business? You. You look in front of the mirror and you say to yourself every day, would I buy from me today? And if you don't want to buy from you, then who else is going to? Even if you're going to sell an idea, don't you sell ideas every day to your kids, your partners, etc.? But if they're not buying, then would you buy from you? If you want love out of a relationship, what are you giving? Are you giving love? It doesn't work where you get it and then you hand it out. You have to give it first. That's the law of attraction. Does that make sense? God, I got a bit passionate, didn't I? Your business cannot outperform your self-image. Think about that. Because your business is a true reflection of you. It's all your values. All you can do is take those values and you put them into your business. So working on you, that personal development, working on you, having a mentor, having people take you by the hand and share in your beauty, your inner beauty, and allow you to bring that through. Do you think your business might grow? Absolutely. So which path are you going to take? How many of you have always wanted to go down the path on the right, but you've been too scared to, or you haven't had the knowledge to make that choice? How many of you wanted to do that? How many of you keep going down this path on the left because somebody says, come on, I'll take you down the right path. This is the path. This is where all the money is. But it never seems to be there. Yeah? What is it that stops us? 80% of businesses go broke. Why? Because all they do is they work on the product, not the people. Your best marketing tool in your business is you. You're the one that sells you. You're the best marketing tool. You vibrate out the energy, do you not? We never have to ask people. I mean, what the most stupid thing we do is we say, hi, how are you? We know how you are. You just vibrated out the energy. Have you met people in the shops and you walk straight past them? Oh my God, I haven't got an hour for that energy today. Or you've gone like this, sideways. Because you've avoided somebody that you didn't want to see. Because you know what energy's like. It radiates out of people. Doesn't it? Yeah. A lady in Townsville said to me, I'd love to spend 20 grand on you, with you, Lynda, and get you to train some of my staff, but I just spent 20 grand putting ads in newspapers. I said, that's the laziest form of marketing I've ever heard of. I said, the best people that could market for you are your staff, because when your staff are radiating out a vibration and talking about how wonderful it is to work for you, do you think they're going to attract more people to go and sell houses? I said, next time you've got 20 grand, ring me. She's now the #1 real estate in Townsville. It's that different. Because her staff, the minute her staff feel better about themselves, you see, a lot of work I do, I just came back from China working with people over there, because I said to the manager, your business is a reflection of the self-image of all your staff. It can't be anything else. If I can up the self-image of your staff, then your business is going to grow. Does that make sense? Yeah, absolutely. So we need to develop you. So changing your wealth within. Einstein said no problem can be solved with the same level of consciousness that created it. So we have to look at how we can create a different level of consciousness. And there's a 3-way process. The first one is working with the power of the mind. The next one is getting emotionally involved with it. Feeling that tingle, like Jennifer said, that tingling up your leg or through your body, feeling that tingling. When you actually set that goal, having it being scary and exciting at the same time. There's no goal worth going for unless it's scary and exciting at the same time. And then the body actually acting on that. Now, one of the things that came out of The Secret was that there wasn't enough words around action. There was a lot of talk around belief. Is that right? But I believe they act and belief are one. Now, think about this. If I believe in something, what do? I act on it. If I act on something, what do? I have a higher belief. And if I have a higher belief, what do? More action. More action, more belief, more action, more belief. That's exactly what we did in the earthquake zone in China. The more we acted on it, the more we believed, the more that came to us, the more people started to help. I know I haven't finished the story. That was a plan. I will. So we need to look at each area. When we look at the mind, we need to look at the fact that you have 2 million bits of information coming in every second through both of your eyes. That's a lot, is it not? And then it's going to go through up all your filters, your attitudes, your values, all the things you got through that programming, you have now stored inside you. So when the information comes in, like every one of you are going to get a different level of awareness today from this weekend, because it's got to go up through. Have you been discussing stuff outside and people had a totally different concept or perception about a speaker? That's because it's got to go up through your filters. And it will depend on those filters as to how you're taking the information in. Is that right? And then out of that, you then only digest 4 bits. No, it's 134 bits. It just decided to trick you. So 134 bits consciously is all you can digest. And then you digest them in 4 ways. Visual, kinesthetic, audio-digital, or auditorily. Now, if you're a visual person, visual people, they speak really like this, and their arms are up in the air, and they're leaning forward, and they're almost on their toes because they have to see everything. And every time they talk, they have to create a picture. And they talk about colour, and they talk about activity and creation and all this sort of stuff. And they have a vision. They're the ones with the big vision boards. Everything has to be visual. Yeah? Why are you laughing, some of you? You either see yourself or your friend, right? Or me. We now have the kinesthetics. Excuse me? Touchy-feely? Why are you laughing? These people feel it right down here in the solar plexus. The visual's going, for Christ's sake, hurry up! I'll be with you in a moment. I'm just getting a feeling around this. Do you know people like this? Yeah. However, there's two lots of kinesthetics. There's the touchy-feely, and there's the doer. The one that gets the gut feeling and acts on it straight away. Doesn't ignore it. Yeah? 40% of the population are visual. 40% of the population are kinesthetic. If you're not one of them, you better learn what they do because you're missing out on 80% of the audience. Yeah? Then we have the auditory. The auditory want to hear everything. They want everything in CD format, and they'll have their head to the left. Because they don't want to miss anything. And when they talk, and their voice goes up, and then their voice can go right down low because they sing when they talk. And they like to hear the sound of their own voice. And so they keep talking. And so then what happens is you actually, if you're talking to an auditory person and they can't shut up, you'll say, you know, that's really great. I just have to go. And then they'll be really quiet. You know people like that? And then we have the audio-digital people. Auditory-digital. Audio-digital. The audio-digital people, they don't vary their voice in any way. They know the facts, and that's all they're interested in. And how dare you have any emotion around that? Why are you getting emotional around this decision? I have an accountant that's AD, and I said to him, Steve! Are you excited about this property that we're involved in? It's so exciting. It's going to be one of the first complete environmental estates in Australia. Lynda, I'm about as excited as an accountant can get. They were his exact words. I said, Steve, we need to go out on a date. I could put some life into your life. My ex-husband was AD. Have you ever had somebody ask you why you needed to buy something? Huh? What does a visual do? We look in the fridge, we see that we need something, we go and buy it. Don't we? Yeah. Of course. We come home, we've got a full bag of groceries. And this guy says, what did you pay for that? Do we have that much detail? Who needs to know how much broccoli was? Who's with me? Who needs to know? However, we do need to know. Because when we're in business, it's the visuals that have all the creative ideas, but they don't go anywhere. Why? Because they don't have the detail. Whoops. Does that make sense? So do you see how important it is to understand the way, and you can operate here any minute of the day, you can go into any one of these moods. How many times have you been really high energy all day and you come home and you go, oh. Yeah? And then the husband or the partner comes in and he says, hey, we're going to go out to dinner tonight. And you're going, you must be joking. Now, remember, visual is high energy. You can actually sit forward and get into visual mode and you'll pick your energy up. And if you've been really high energy, know that you can go back and relax. And if you need to really listen to something, you can turn your head to one side and you can really take everything in. Now, why is this important? Because if you're going to be in rapport with somebody, you need to know how they're representing the world right now, and then you need to do what they're doing. And if they're talking with words like listen, hear, sounds like, then there's a good chance right now they're representing the world in an auditory fashion. And it would be good for you to do the same, would it not? Because when we copy somebody, then they're getting a trust, because that's all selling is. It's trusting. Does that make sense? And so they will trust themselves, and if you act like them, then they're trusting themselves, because you are being them. That's what rapport is, getting into rapport with somebody. So I may make fun of some of these up here, however, I've had to learn to be or have some AD skills in order to do my tax. Yeah? And I've had to learn to go into kinesthetic mode in order for the universe to talk to me, because the universe doesn't talk to you when you're high energy visual all day. How on earth are you going to listen? Yeah? It's when you relax that the universe really sends those messages and makes it very clear. Does that make sense? So this is really important that you get this, because you're going to distort, delete and generalize every bit of information that comes into you anyway, depending on how you're representing the world. So it's really interesting that you understand that. This is one of the guys I worked with in China. His name's Greg. He said the program is really dense in knowledge. It covers a vast spectrum from linguistics to matrix therapies, and the outcome is just priceless. It changes a whole life of limiting beliefs to evolve. I needed to experience it. And now it's a pleasure to be helping others with their own issues in my own business. I made great self-progress in the process, thanks to the system, and it gave me more appetite to learn more. This guy, when I met him, was working for a Taiwanese company and earning no money. He was doing it gratis. Why would you do that? He's now working with multimillionaires in China and loving it. Totally different person. Now, your emotions. Hand up those that have ever looked like this. Okay, that's great if you have, because it means you're suppressing, that all the anger that you might have been suppressing comes up. The worst thing we can do is suppress our emotions. Do you know what depression is? It's anger turned inward. So if I'm working with depressed people when I'm coaching them, I want them to get angry, and I won't be clearing it. Arthritis is anger turned inward in the joint. Cancer is anger turned inward. Do you get my drift? We suppress emotions, and when we continue to suppress them because somebody told us it wasn't right to display it, does that make sense? And then all of a sudden we've got a disease or an ailment. So wouldn't it be good to clear this? But I don't mean just clear it. What we do is go right back to the very first time it happened. And then we clear it. Because everything you've got in your anger file, guess what? It's all in one file, like this. And so some coaches will take you back to a significant event, and they'll help you clear that significant event. It's not far enough. Because then you think, well, how come I've still got the anger? We're going to take you right back to the first event, and we'll clear the whole bleeding lot. Would that be good? Fancy walking out there with light shoulders because you don't feel the need to do that anymore. Okay, what about sadness? Now you see, anger, by the way, all manifests itself around the shoulders, the neck area. Anyone get lots of sore throats? Yeah, or shoulders up here, tight shoulders, etc., down to the heart. Anger can manifest all around this area here. So when you're getting this area, ask yourself, what's the purpose of this anger? Get the anger out. Talk to it. Ask what it's doing there. What is the purpose? And it will tell you. Recently I had some digestive problem, and I actually asked for the problem to come out, and I said, what's going on? And I got a clear message that was around responsibility. That since my mother had died, I had taken on the responsibility of my family members. And in my house, my house is packed, full of people. They all gravitated to me. So I leave and come overseas. So what happens is with sadness, see what she's doing? What do we do in sadness? We hold on to the chest. So your sadness area is around the chest. Grief and sadness. So let's look at breast cancer. Let's look at asthma. Let's look at bronchitis. Let's look at. Does that make sense? The first thing I would ask you is, have you had somebody pass away? Have you feel sad around anything? We tend to hover into that area. Have you ever been to a funeral and you didn't really know the person, but you were there out of respect and you ended up howling, crying and crying and crying? Because it's a sociably acceptable place to let go of your sadness. And that's why you allowed yourself to let go. Yeah? So sadness, chest problems, think about it. And what about fear? Who's ever looked like that before? Well, guess what? All your autoimmune diseases are based on fear. 97% of diseases stem from the bowel. The whole bowel area is your fear area. Where do people tell you when they get scared? Oh. Yeah? I had lupus. Everything's around fear, the fear of moving on. People said to me, why don't you start your own business? I had nothing to model that on. My father worked for somebody else all his life. I found out he got a scholarship to Harvard. His mother couldn't afford the books. And he ran away from home. And then he realised that it must have been harder for her to tell him that she couldn't afford the books than it was for him not to go to Harvard. So he came home and he started coaching kids from school that weren't getting it. Interesting story. We're just finding this out now since my dad turned 80 and he's really started to look into his life. He never talked about any of that. It's really interesting. So the fear is your inability to move on. It all emanates around here. When I had lupus, what's lupus? Disease of the autoimmune system. It stems from the bowel. 97% of diseases stem from the bowel. So detox. Be gentle. Nice, lots of water, lots of water. Make sure things are flowing through you all the time. Yeah? Love is the motivator. We talked about that before. That we don't want mind over matter. What we want is you to be in love. Joe Dispenza from What the Bleep says, love is a powerful motivator. We should always feel that we want to be with our new goal and visit with it. We must bond with a pattern of thinking that repeatedly inspires, enlivens and heals us. After all, making new connections, new synaptic connections, is a creative and joyful process. You have to love you first, do you not? And when you emanate out that love, you'll attract all these other people to you. Yeah? That feel really good about themselves and want to work with you so that they leave feeling in love with themselves. You know, I learned that many years ago because I started doing a lot of Bob Proctor material. And I said to Bob Proctor, how come every time I've worked with you, I've lost my husband and my son? His answer in front of 500 people was, they became a habit. I said, what? He said, going home to the same man and having all the same things all the time was a habit. He said, I'm not asking you to leave your husband, but he said, you should be able to have your life. You need to fall in love with you, not with other people all the time. You need to fall in love with them, but in love with you. Does that make sense? So when I started working on me, my relationship with my son really changed. Does that make sense? You work on you. You stand in front of the mirror and say, what is it about me that I need to change? And then we need to take some action. Not the same action, different action, more inspired action. So which pathway are you going to go down now? Who's going to go to the pathway on the right? Okay, if somebody can take you down that pathway and take you by the hand and lead you down that pathway and show you which way to go, then obviously it's going to be a lot easier for you to do that. Whereas before, this pathway, how many times did you come back to the same place? My friend's in real estate and she keeps blaming real estate for where she is. And she's such a beautiful soul. She just doesn't get it, that she is. Oh, real estate, real estate, real estate. So we've either got this hand going down here or we've got us helping you. I'd love to share that path with you because I've been down it myself. I went through that, what we call that terror barrier, that boundary that I didn't think I could go down to get down that path. And what I came to at the other end was the gold. So when somebody's going to help you, I'll just move through these rave reviews. So who's looking at financial freedom? Who wants financial freedom? Who wants to be able to wake up every day and never have to think about money? Yay? It's time, is it not? Yeah. However, we've got to believe that. So you've got to have that passion of what is it you want to do? What were you put on the planet for? And if you can't do it on your own, then find other people that can work with you. Now, the first time I did that, I got really, really nervous because that was going to cost me money. And why I did everything on my own was because I was saving money. However, what you need is a belief. Just a belief that the minute you ask somebody else to help you do what you want to do on this planet, you attract somebody in to help you do. You get it done twice as fast, 4 times as fast, 10 times as fast, and then more money flows, allowing you to let go of even more stuff and pay more people to take that away from you. Yeah? cleaners and all sorts of stuff. I replaced so many people. 14 people were helping me run my business at one stage. Just because I had different people doing different things. I just rang them. If I wanted that done, I rang that person. I wanted that done, I rang that person. Does that make sense? Until you find somebody that has the same passion about what you do as you have. And then all of a sudden you see, I don't own my company. The universe owns my company. I only run it while I'm on the planet. That's very different thinking. But it took me a while to work that out. Yeah, it's a universe's company. However, I'm going to do a really good job of it while I'm here, and then it'll be my legacy to leave it to others. So financial freedom is what we deserve. Let's have a listen to what Chris has to say. She's a mother of 2.
Hi, my name's Christine Stewart and I'm the proud owner of my own coaching practice. Deciding to come along and do Lynda Dyer's Mind Power Global coaching program has just been one of the most amazing decisions of my life, and it has just totally transformed me. It is so rewarding to be able to go and help someone make positive changes in their life. And for me personally, it means that I'm my own boss. I have now got the freedom and the flexibility to spend time with my children. I can go to those school sports carnivals. I can help on the canteen. You know, as a mum, that flexibility is pure gold, and I really value that. I'm now earning more money coaching a few clients a week than I was earning working for someone full-time. And that's just awesome. I'm happier, I'm healthier, and it's just been great. The coaching techniques are really simple to learn, they're easy to use, and they are really effective in making fast change for people. It's so rewarding to sit down with a client, give them the space to just blurb and tell you about any challenges in their life, and then for you to be empowered to think, you know what, I've got a whole toolbox of techniques here that I can just pluck out and use and help them make positive changes. You know, get rid of those negative beliefs, you know, those emotions that are just stopping them from moving forward. And that is just so powerful. I really think it is just the most amazing vehicle, I guess, for a mother to use, you know, to have that flexibility and be your own boss. It's just so powerful. So if you're sitting there thinking, oh, I don't know if it's for me, look, if it's possible for me, it's possible for you. You just got to learn how. And this coaching program teaches you how. So step up, take some action, and start leading that life that you've always dreamed of. See you on the beach.
So this is what we're going to give you. It's called the Breakthrough Belief System. We're running it next weekend for those of you that want to make a change right now over in Brussels. And the lady that's running that, Natasha, is here. She's come across to help you go through that, and we're going to make it happen for you. Those of you that want to go and do it as a coaching certificate, you get a certificate. Those of you that just want to come and do it as a 2-day release can have it as a 2-day release. It's totally up to you. We're going to give you a practitioner manual. We're also going to give you another manual that all the PowerPoint slides. You get everything. We're also going to give you, for the first 12 people that book today, I've brought a copy of The Secret, the 4 secret CDs. That if you haven't got that, we're going to give that to you today. I've also got a DVD that I worked with Dr. Patch Adams around Australia. And I wrote all that in the thing that I did here with all the different representational systems. I've actually acted it out so that you can understand that. And then I've got my how-to series. It's been all around the world now. And it teaches you how to take action after the secret, how to go from procrastination to motivation. Yeah, how to clear a limiting belief. It's all there. You can actually see me in action clearing one of the filming crew. So that's normally valued at over $2,000. In fact, it's valued at £2,000, pardon me. The benefits for you is that there's an opportunity to release limiting beliefs in 2-day intense training where it's very gently done and it's very influentially done so that you find that in 15 minutes we can clear anger. Another 15 minutes we can clear sadness. Another 15 minutes we can clear guilt. Another 15 minutes. Who'd like that? Who'd like to clear stuff and have it gone? Yeah? We can clear your limiting beliefs. We can clear limiting decisions. We can clear an event, a negative event. We can have a chat to a person that you want to have a chat to and let them go. Yeah? Because that's what we do. We want to show you how to do it, and we're going to give you all the scripts and the whole bit so that if you want to take it further and become a coach, you can. So you can do it at whatever level you like. You can come and just get cleared, or you can come and get your certification. So that will bring you into the beginning, because next year we'll bring in the full NLP program. I'll lead you step by step, and we'll guarantee your success because we have a money-back guarantee. So right now, never before offered, I'm going to offer you me, one-on-one, powerful coaching, very intuitive coach. I don't listen to your words. I actually look at your body. I can hear when you're swallowing something up here, I know it's a person. And I'll ask you who's coming up and how can we talk to that person. And we can really make that happen. We've got business coaching. We've got personal coaching. So the whole value is over $2,000. Today, it's £998. And you get the full pack. As I said, the first 12 people, I have that pack at the back of the room. All this. A whole lot of it. Who'd like to join me in releasing what they have and set a goal that's so big and allow that goal to come into their subconscious mind and feel really beautiful about where they're heading and then be led by the hand to make that happen? Who'd like to do that? Great. Then let's see if we can make that happen, because we're going to run one right here in England in February next year, and we're going to run one next weekend in Brussels. We're going to make that happen. So here I am in the car. Did you remember that? And the army guy's at the bonnet of the car and he's flipping through the book, and my friend's thinking we're not going to get through. And I had total faith. In the end, this guy, after flicking through the book, he grabbed hold of the book, he came round and he sat in the other side of the car and he said, I'll take you to the school. He said, I'm going to get into trouble for this, but I'm going to take you to the school where you can take those books. You see, Napoleon said, I see only the objective. The obstacles must give way. So we went up to the school and we had the most amazing time. We had songs that you would be able to know because they sing them all around the world. We had people crying. We had children I've seen witnessed before, where little children were going up to the teachers and wiping their eyes because the teachers were continually crying. Who knows what they went through? Rows and rows of children. There was only 100 children left out of 2,000. Some of the stories I got from the army and the police was that they physically dug 50 out of those 100 children. They dug out with their bare hands. So I was very emotional up here in this time. I remember this little row here and the second girl in, I'll never forget it, and I looked at her and I said, I'm going to send you a whole bunch of beautiful thoughts. And I said, I don't know what's happened in your little life, but it's a lot more than a lot of us have had in our whole lives. And I'm just going to tell you the most beautiful person on the planet, and you were spared today. And the reason why you were spared is because there's a bigger purpose for you. And the reason why I'm here is to share this love and to give you all that energy so that you can move on and be whoever you want to be. And without a word of a lie, that little girl left that line and she came over and she hugged me. I've never forgotten that. It was like she heard every word. You don't believe that your energy gives to other people? It absolutely does. Then we decided that this book was going to be the present. This book was going to be the present to those kids, because we were going to do a party right now and we're going to hand you this book and it's going to be your present, because today is going to be the party to celebrate the first of your days for the rest of your life. And we got cake. It came out of nowhere. People had cake. And then they started a cake fight. And one of the teachers said, kids, I'll never ever be able to say to this again. But he said, go and throw the cake at the policeman. Because today will be the only day you'll ever be able to do that. And he threw the cake at me first. I'd love to show you the photos. You'll be able to get them from my website, and the whole story's on there. It's a beautiful story. And so now we've sent 5,000 copies of this little book is up in the earthquake zone. We went up there 5 times. We've got millions of volunteers now working around to spread the book and to spread. They wanted English copies, they wanted Chinese copies. So you can do whatever you want to do. It's in you. I just want to be part of your journey to help bring it out. Thank you very much. I'll see you at the back of the room.